Okay, so for this video we're making a summer fruit tart, or a soft berry tart. Lovely this time of year, nice and light dessert, nothing too complicated about it. We've got some sweet pastry, 400 grams of sweet pastry. There will be, or there is, depending on when you're watching this, a video up for how to make the sweet paste. There's a very easy recipe for that. Likewise with the creme patisserie, baker's cream, baker's custard. There is, again, or it's on its way, a video for that. And then we've got raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, and 300 ml of double cream, just whipped to soft peaks. That's all we're going to need. That's all we're going to use. So let's get on with making summer berry tart. Okay, so the start of the process for the fruit tart, we roll out sweet paste. I'm going to lightly flour the surface. Don't want to put too much flour down really, because you don't want to dry the pastry out too much. This is a very buttery sweet paste, so it starts off quite solid. Obviously the more you work it, the warmer it's going to get, so we want to try and get it rolled out and sorted as quickly as we can. So let's do that. We're going to roll this into a nice big flat circle of approximately 3 millimeters thick. Keep it moving, don't let it stick to the surface, don't let it stick to your rolling pin. You keep it moving, you can keep a closer eye on the shape as you go. Okay, so here we have a 10-inch loose bottomed flan dish, pie dish. As you can see from the shine on it, I've already greased it with a bit of butter. And now we're going to lay our pastry over it. We've rolled this out to around 2 to 3 millimeters thickness, and we're just going to push this nice and neatly into the edges of the pie dish. Like that. Now, just using a little bit of pastry, which I've just cut off the edge, we're just going to use it to dab the corners to make sure we get a good, nice, tight fit into the edges all the way around. It's not imperative that you do this, but you just get a nicer finish on the tart at the end. Just like that. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to get a fork. And we're going to stab holes in the bottom. This is going to let air escape and stop the pastry from rising up as it blind bakes, because we're going to put this in the oven in a minute to bake off, so that we have a nice crisp shell. Just like that. So I'm going to line it with tin foil. You could use greaseproof paper. Obviously tin foil is easier to manipulate. That is in. And then we're going to fill it with something heavy to hold it down, to stop the pastry from climbing. I've got some very well used dried lentils. Use these many times, so they're now properly dry. You could use proper baking beans, you can use rice, as long as it's heavy, and you can flatten it out in order to get into nooks and crannies, so to speak. Just like that. Now that's almost ready for the oven. I'm just going to tidy up the edges and get it ready to go in. Okay, so as you can see, we've just tidied up the edges. Say we, I, no one else here. Flush to the side of the pan, it's all nice and tidy. Just push this over, make sure this is still holding your pastry down. The oven is preheating to 200 degrees C. Then we're going to put this in the oven. We're going to blind bake it probably for about 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to pull it out, pull this stuff out, and then put it back in to cook the base and form a nice crisp shell, and then that'll be ready once it's cooled down for filling with our creme pat mix. So there's our pastry case. It's been in the oven at 200 degrees for 10 minutes. Then the baking beans or lentils were taken out, put back in the oven at 180 for another 10 minutes, just to finish off the cooking. So now we have a nice, ready to go, crisp pastry case. Okay, so we've got a tart case out of the oven. That's now ready to fill. So we are going to fill this with creme pat and the whipped cream. We're literally just going to add them together and whisk them up. I'm probably supposed to tell you to fold that together, but it takes too long. So we're literally going to whip that together. And the whipped cream, the double cream, is going to really lighten that thick custard up. Obviously increase the volume, but it's more about adding some lightness. Okay, so now we're going to fill the pastry case, which is cooled down. It's completely cold, lovely and crisp. And we're going to fill that with our lightened custard. You may or may not need all of it. And then just using a palette knife, just going to smooth that in. So that is all of the creme pat mix. So that's turned out rather well. Okay, so as you can see, we've finished the tart. Now we're just going to load it up with fruit. So for this one I've got strawberries, raspberries and blueberries. And we're literally just going to park them however you want. So there you go. I finished summer fruit tart, or a soft berry tart. Use whatever fruit you've got or whatever you can get hold of. Soft fruits ideally. If you wanted to at this point, you could glaze the top with maybe say stock syrup or some apricot jam let down with a little bit of water, and then just paint it across the top to give it a nice finish. But that will obviously add sweetness to the tart, and I don't really want to lose the acidity of the raspberries against everything else, so I just tend to leave it like that. Hope you enjoyed it.